Hey, what's up? Michael here. Anyways, uh, if you've been paying attention, which I hope you have been, I'm doing a platform, starting from the platform called Let's Start Something. I haven't licensed it or anything, or the idea yet. The idea is mine and a few other people. We're a group of individuals who are trying to make this be the most positive and constructive way to help people without forcing them to pay anything, at least at the moment. And what I mean by that, my focus is on fentanyl blues. And the reason for that is that even if you look up the DEA website and you're like, what's fentanyl, right? It'll teach you everything you want to know about fentanyl, all the different names across the country and the world they call it. But the one thing they leave out that's not in there is fentanyl blues. Now, they're called Percocets, they're called blues, they're called a lot of different things, but typically Percocets or blues, they're going to be called blues. And people, it's so prevalent, and there's so much of it right now going around, especially in my community here in Phoenix, Glendale, Scottsdale, the local areas here. It is, it's cheap, okay? And one pill can kill you, I guarantee it. And one pill killed me. And the weird thing about that is that I had opiates in my system already. I was on Oxycontins for my pain. I didn't have any come to that point. That's why I was, forced to use blues at the time. But, fortunately there was a man there who saved my life. So you probably heard about that on other videos if you're paying attention. And so what I'm doing now is just creating a short video for this idea, right? And I just want to explain as much as I can about it. Now listen, the idea is for you and me to share information. And so I want you, if you're interested, to start a Let's Start Something video, right? And you can explain underneath what it's about. It could be about anything. Generally, what I want to talk about is poverty, homelessness, and fentanyl blues. It's killing people, right, at a rapid rate, and it's so prevalent and it's so bad that I want to see people get help. And that's what I'm doing. Look, it had me really bad at one time, and I've been adult being on and off my whole life. I've had a lot of clean time as an adult, and I never really just pulled up to the dope house and said, you know what, fuck my life, screw my family, I just want to get it over with and get high. That's never how it's worked, not since I became an adult, not once. After my first time in prison, I was done. I knew I was done, and by the grace of God, I got on my knees every day and begged him never to let me go back to crack. I'm 45 years old now, and back then I was just about 20, maybe over 20 a little bit. And that first year I did, it rocked me. I found out that my wife was pregnant by another man. I've never been hurt so bad in my life except for recently. We can get to that later. Sorry, somebody's texting me, and if that's in the way and you saw that, I apologize. And again, there's another one. Wait for these. If I can't see what I'm doing, I imagine you can't see either. I don't know. But anyways, so where was I at? Yeah, okay, so I was a young kid, and so at that time I swore off though. And I swear to God, I may have only tried crack 3 times after that. My second wife, really, the one that I was really meant to take care of, she seen me on it once or twice. She seen me try it once or twice. It didn't do nothing for me, and for her, it never did anything for her either. She didn't like it either. But the reason is that I wasn't chasing that crap no more. I already had my thing. I found the thing I really liked, and that was methamphetamines. And I was doing that stuff way before I was doing crack. But I learned that if I wanted to really have an enjoyment of it, to shoot it into my veins. And so what I ended up doing was getting hooked on that. And there's a lot of weird reasons that is the case. It made me happy, man. It made me go maybe do things that I normally wouldn't do. Not a bunch of bad stuff, but I had to do bad stuff in order to get it. And that was stealing from my local Walmart or something like that. I promised myself that after my first term in prison that I would never steal from anybody. There has been maybe that many people since I was an adult that I stole from. And the reason is because they either were ripping me off or they were doing me bad. And I just wait for the right moment and get them back. Whether they knew it or not, it didn't matter. Yeah, and I was just, that's just the way dopey way of thinking, right? And that's not good either. So, fast forward. What I'm getting at is that, you know, methamphetamines was my choice of drugs. I quit doing crack cocaine a long time ago, almost 30 years ago, and I've never touched it since, really. So, um, let's see, 6 years, four in, two out. I was clean before I hurt my back at a place called CRM. It was a really good job, and I hurt my back about 2 months before they laid me off, which really wrecked me because I was scared, man. This was the only job I had. I put everything into this job. Before that, I had a 4.0 GPA at CAC college. When I took those credits all the way to AAI, and I was on a IPS at the time. And my IPS team, my probation officer said, you can't have a full-time job and do full-time school at the same time. And I'm like, this makes no sense. There's so much on my plate right now. There's no way that I'm going to get high. But they thought otherwise. And so what ended up happening is that I had to give up the school because I'm paying child support, by not by court order, but by honoring, being noble and doing the right thing. Those are my kids. At least I thought both of them were mine. Found out the youngest one wasn't mine at the age of 12. A week before Father's Day, I was told, and I'm doing something, bro. So anyways, I got some business to take care of, but I wanted to make sure you got this information out, and I'm sharing this information from me because I'm not the only one out there. So let me explain one more time. Let's Start Something is a platform that me and some other friends started. It's basically my idea, but in reality, it's for you. It's not just for me. Look, I'm in a good place. I'll be honest with you. What has happened to me recently in my life has taught me a bunch. I've never lost so much. I've never felt so much pain, and I've never been so miserable living my life in dread. It was, if I wasn't one of those things that I just would never do, which is commit suicide, if that ever came across my mind, it would have happened. Now, I've tried to kill myself getting high, but I didn't go eat a gun like I could have, because I could have. I didn't jump off a building like I could have, because I could have. But what I did is I faced all those demons, and what happened is it taught me to be bold. Now, I'm completely honest about everything I do now. You ask me a question, I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to hide the truth. I understand the perspective of a lot of people that are in my life, and those perspectives aren't always true. That's because when you have one or two witnesses that witnessed something, whether it was good or bad, they're always going to tell it from their point of view. It's never going to be the same story, right? And so when you hear one person's version, according to the others, is not going to match up. Now, I try to look at it from other people's perspective, right? I was asked to do something recently that I was like, I'm not going to do that. I do whatever I want to do. And you know what? The reality of it is that those things don't matter. What matters is the time and purpose that we have now. My purpose is to help other people get off the street, get help, have clinics provide better service, have the hospitals not treat you like you're a scumbag, because when they do that, what happens is when the addict goes back for whatever reason, broken arm, sick as hell, COVID, whatever, they're not going to be honest about the fact that they got a problem, because what happens is that the people in the ER all the way up to the doctor treat them like scumbags. They treat them like shit, and they don't like that because they need the help and the drugs that they deserve. And so I hope to change the laws or implement some kind of law that would say, look, you have to treat everybody with respect. You took an oath, now keep it. And with that oath, they need to be that way all the time. And a lot of people don't understand addicts. They don't understand, the homelessness. They don't understand poverty. They think it's a choice. It's not. Look at our streets here in Phoenix, Arizona. You think any of those people you see every day going to the Circle K or the QT or wherever you're at, AM, PM, or the canals, Tent City downtown, Cass, whatever. Do you think those people honestly want to be that way? No. But they're going to remain that way until they get the right amount of help. Until somebody steps up and says, hey, look, man, I've been where you're at. I know what's going on. What can I do to help? Will you take the time and effort that I will give to you, the information that you need? Now, along the way, we're hoping to start one of the processes that we're going to do. I'm working with somebody right now. It's called Hero Haulers, right? And it'll be merge with my company eventually. It's going to be a nonprofit. But right now, it's just us doing what we can do for the people that we need to be doing it for as long as we can. And I hope that I can help anybody out there. Like, again, the platform, Let's Start Something, is free. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your side of the story. Whether you're a mom, you're a dad, you're a kid, you're a brother, a sister, a grandma, grandpa, I don't care. If you're just a friend and you know somebody who's got this problem and you want to tell somebody but you don't know how, reach out to me, okay? Get a hold of me on Messenger. One day you want to sit around watching YouTube, hey, check this guy out, and see the interviews that I take. Look for Nathaniel, look for Stuart, look for Curtis, look for Shannon, look for Steppen. There's a lot of people who have been affected by this, and I tell the story from their point of view, and they tell the story from their point of view. And what I mean is that I know their story, right? And some people, they have a problem, and the other people, like Shannon, never had a problem, never smoked weed, maybe once in his life, never drank. He was a 23-year vet of the United States military, and he was one of those secret kind of guys, right? The ones you're not supposed to know about. Anyways, they were escorting a caravan of medical people and transport, and they got blown up and pretty much killed everybody. And at that time, as he was trying to escape his Humvee, he got 3 shots in the back, and he's in a wheelchair for life. Recently, he was beat up for his belongings because he has money, you know what I mean? He is out there on the streets because he got kicked out by his brother-in-law because he punched his brother-in-law for whatever reason. He was hurting his sister, I don't know. Anyways, he was out there for about 6 months, and one night he wasn't expecting it. These guys beat him up with baseball bats, took away his chair, took all of his belongings, left him butt naked next to the freeway, and somebody found him. If they wanted him, he would have been dead. And just imagine being able to have the ability or the freaking urge or whatever it is to beat up somebody in a freaking wheelchair. I can tell you now that I've been attacked in the position that I am, and I guarantee you if I had my feet, it would have never happened. Never happened. You know what I mean? I got a lot of respect from a lot of people knowing what I do and what I don't do, and I would have never gone through all that had I been, in a better position than I was. But guess what? If I was not in the position that I am, I would have not been where I was at, because I think I would have figured it out. You know what I mean? I didn't really make a promise because it didn't come up when I was taking the vows to get married. What I heard was, for better or for worse, richer or for poor, till death do us part. And that is what I meant. I would have had this person's back no matter what. I would have never ever treated this person like I was treated. But I totally get why this person did what she did, because she was protecting herself, her grandchildren, and everybody else. At least she thought she was. She thought she was doing the right thing. She wasn't. She was cruel, inconsiderate, and mean. I was out there on the streets suffering, dirty, hungry, never brought me a meal, and I was just around the corner. It's not like they didn't know or she didn't know where I was at. But people just get in their mind that they're done because this dude doesn't do nothing but bring me pain and when I need him the most, but they forget about everything I did for them or for her throughout all the years we were on and off together. So I'm not bitching, right? I'm not complaining. I just let you know that I see it. I see why she did what she did, right? You don't know how you act when you're high. You don't know how you act when you're depressed and you're down and out, and how you affect the people around you. I guarantee you that I was not the same man I am today, because I didn't figure out who I was until way after my marriage and way after this point, because I was this person she met a long time ago, back in 2007. What that means is that I had my head on my shoulders. I knew where I was going, what I was doing, and how I fell apart is that at my job I got laid off and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to handle it. And we had a 3-bedroom house, a corner lot. I had a brand new truck. She had a brand new van. You know what I mean? Things were working out really well, and I was able to cover my bills without any problem. And I was the only one working at the time. So when I lost my job, we all were in trouble, because she wasn't prepared to go back to work. She was still suffering and mourning from her mother's death, and I understand that. And I had her back the whole time. I never forced her into a job. Never in our life have I ever said, you need to get your ass up and get a job. It was on her when she decided to do that. and she did the right thing, and I love her for that. So, you know, I can tell you that every ounce of pain, every problem that I've had, especially in the last 2.5 years, was a good thing. It was a curse at the time, but it also made me a better person. I can tell you for a fact that you're never going to see me high again on anything. I know that for a fact. And why that is because I know I don't need it. I'm still in this wheelchair after 4 months. 2.5 years been suffering from a real bad car accident. I got ran over by a car. She dragged me 2 miles and left me for dead. Lied about the whole thing, you know, and I shouldn't have been there either. But I couldn't see her coming, and for that reason, I got hurt, and you know, it just didn't go the way it should have been. And from that learning how I should have been better taken care of by not just the hospital, but by the residential place that I was staying. Because after 30 days, I was still in a wheelchair. Ended up 6 weeks after my accident on my feet because my wheelchair got stolen. Really doesn't matter because my son enforced me to go home. He says, "Dad, you're coming home." And you know, I didn't put up a fight because I wanted to come home. I didn't want to be where I was at. I didn't want to have to go through this shit anymore. And so I came home. We had a good time. We were, you know, him and I. And but anyways, that didn't work out. I can tell you why, but it doesn't really matter. But he rescued me more than once. He wanted me to come home. He didn't want me to be where I was at. He loved me, and I loved him, and that's the way it is. You know what I mean? People don't understand unless they know your relationship, unless they know your heart, right? Everybody thinks, well, I'm better than that person, or I'm better than this person. Listen, I believe in the Word of God. I know it front to back. I've read it front to back in 88 days, as a matter of fact. That's a record for me, any kind of reading, because I don't like to read. But I was in seminary school, and I had to do that. Actually, that wasn't part of the school. That was part of another class I was taking. It's called Bible in 90 days, but I did it in 88 days. So one of the things it says is that all have fallen short of the glory of God. There's not one that is good, not one. What does that mean? That we're all sinners, that we're all lost, that we're all in trouble if we don't find the Lord, if we don't find the right situation. Listen, you don't talk to God, you don't know God, you don't have any faith. When it comes time, you get rocked. I'll tell you what, there are no atheists in foxholes. You ever heard that saying? What that means is when the chips are down, when your back's against the wall, when you know it's coming, the first words are going to be out of your mouth is help. Who are you going to get that help from? God. And He's been there for me my whole life. Through thick and thin, no matter what. He's had mercy on me. It didn't matter what I did or what I didn't do, how good I was or if I wasn't any good. He introduced Himself to me when I was 13, but I was talking to Him like when I was 2. So you understand, this is what the Word of God says. So I know for a fact this is true. Nobody is holy. Nobody is righteous apart from Jesus Christ. Not one. There's only been one who's been righteous, and that's Jesus Christ, who ever walked this planet. And you can believe what you want to believe, and I'm okay with that because I'm not trying to force you into Christianity. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, this is what I believe, and what keeps me safe is that I know I'm not the only one that's been through this kind of shit. I'm not the only one that suffers. I know people who have cut themselves, who have hurt themselves, who have been taking drugs their whole life to hide who they are, right? And hide the pain that they got. They might be bulimic, right? They might have image issues. Started from like the age of 12, right? Could be anything. They could be feeling bad about themselves because they have desires that don't seem right, because they were taught not to have those feelings, but they do have those feelings. So yet being honest about it, they get sick and they do things to themselves that hurt themselves. And when that happens, they end up going to a psychologist or something like that to fix it. And I believe that maybe somebody might have some real mental issues and they've been diagnosed. Look, when I was a kid, from like the age of 7 all the way up to my teenage years and even into my adult years, they told me I was bipolar manic depressive. Guess what? I'm not. I just found out and was diagnosed by somebody who is, I was undiagnosed by somebody who is a renowned psychologist, and she said, you are situational. You do not have bipolar disorder. This situation has caused you to feel the way that you do, and I agree. And so what I have done is I've accepted that diagnosis, which means I'm not sick. I don't have any mental disorders, but I always thought I did, and so I hid that. And kind of, you know what I mean? It's not, other people thought I was crazy, but I'm not really crazy. The reality is I'm just human. And that humanity, that part of me has suffered a long time because I've got this heart that is this freaking big. And when people stomp on it, it bleeds. And it bleeds so much that it just gets to this point where I just want to die. And that is normal. Depression is normal. Sadness is normal. Grief is normal. It's just the way it is. We have to learn how to handle it. Certainly can't handle it alone. I suggest you never handle any kind of situation alone. You have to be vulnerable, right, in order to gain trust. And I know that may not be something you've ever heard before, but that's the facts. It's scientifically proven. If you want to gain trust with a loved one, with a family member, or with your future wife or your kids, you have to be vulnerable, which means you have to be honest. You're willing to put yourself out there and take the chance of getting hurt. And you won't be hurt as long as you remain honest. The only time it's going to hurt is when you're trying to hide it, when you're trying to be something you're not. And it's easy to do because we all do it on a daily basis. All of us do. We put on this mask and try to pretend we're something that we're not. I know I'm good at it. I smile and dial every day, man. I rock it. I don't let anybody know how I feel. And until it comes to the point where I need to talk about it. Now, I have a lot more friends than I've ever had in my life now. And I'm talking to them, and they're talking to me, and that's what I want. So let's start something, is the idea about starting a conversation. Now, I know I've been kind of all over the place right now because I really wasn't focused on what I was going to do and how I was going to do it. But I knew I needed to post something. So I hope this helps you in some way or shape or form, that you'll try to not only use this platform, that you'll be open and honest. You'll talk to your camera and say, you know what? I need help. Or, man, I'm doing so good right now, and I only got this way because of your faith, because of your family, because of your wealth. I don't care what it is that makes you happy. I want to know about it, and so does everybody else. So I post my stuff on Facebook, and I put it on my YouTube channel. That's Michael Merriman, right? MERRYMAN, and you'll see the little Chucky doll is my emoji, and you'll see me pretty much the way I look now. I don't really dress that much different. You know, sometimes I won't wear a hat, but most of the time I will. I'm, kind of in between haircuts right now. I miss my mohawk, and I had that mohawk for my son's benefit. He's not here to see it, but I rock it for him because he would have loved it. That's the kind of thing he does, is he likes people that put themselves out there. He was a genuine man. He was very generous, very kind, very loving, but he also wouldn't take no shit, and I was proud of him for that. I admired him so much that I just stood back and watched before I could ever say anything. And maybe there were some things I needed to correct it, but I didn't correct them. I should have done some things different, but I didn't, and I miss him a lot. Good news though, I have spoken to my oldest daughter on Facebook. That's awesome. I saw my grandchild Journey for the first time. She's beautiful. I mean, she's so cute. I'm so sad that I've missed this child this whole time, but hopefully someday we can get all this worked out. You know, there's no reason to hold anything over anybody's head. Don't hold a grudge. Don't be angry. The quickest thing you can do, and I've taught this to my kids, and especially my oldest daughter, when she was going through it really bad when she was young, she was abused. Okay, we don't need to actually talk about what it was because she may not like that, and I haven't asked her about it. You know what I mean? But I can tell you that she was abused, and from this abuse, I told her, I said, look, honey, this may make you sad now, but the quickest way to a clean heart is forgiveness. If you want to wipe all that away, just forgive them. Figure out how it is you forgive them. And how I forgive people is knowing that, well, I'm no better. I have no right. You know what I mean? I've done a lot of horrible things. I've never killed anybody or anything like that, but I certainly have thought about it, and I've come this freaking close, but I've never done it. And I'm so happy I haven't, because I would never come back from that. You know, it's been hard enough to forgive myself for some of the things I've done, and that is something that's really important too, is you need to take your bag of garbage and you need to open it up, and you need to take each thing out one at a time, and you say, you know what, I'm gonna let this go. And it could be an anger at somebody else. You know, say, pull it out and go, you know what, I forgive you, I get you, I understand you, I don't like you, I never will, but I forgive you, and get rid of it. Next thing too, it's like, oh, And that time I stole that freaking, and a backpack, all those clothes, those shoes I had, the donuts, the sodas I lived off for 2 months. Just take it, put it aside, and forgive yourself. Why? Because you are forgiven. I'm telling you, if you just know that, you are forgiven. You are a very special person. You should cherish yourself and everything around you. Never let it go. Please pay attention to the people that are around you, your loved ones, right?